Hey, good evening. Welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL Live Before Lock Showdown edition. Actually a fun game. I don't care if it's a 9.5 point spread. It's a divisional battle in the AFC West. Listen, man, strange death, taxes, and weird shit happening on Thursday Night Football. The three guarantees in life. What isn't a guarantee is Eric Lindquist joining me today. I didn't even know. I popped into the StreamYard room. I said, hey, what's up, dude?
Hey, I just wanted to come hang out so badly. That's what it was.
Usually it's Greg. Greg's doing NBA Live Before Lock tonight.
What an upgrade, though. What an upgrade.
Wouldn't you rather be doing NFL Showdown than a single game NBA slate?
Yeah, so yesterday, Greg's asking me what I want to do or whatever. I'm like, oh, well, I've got some NBA that I got to work on right after this, yada, yada, yada. And I'm just like, it would be absolutely miserable to talk a 30-minute one-game slate. So definitely tune into it if you're going to be playing that slate, because it's going to be 30 minutes. It'll be boom, boom, and done. Josh and Greg are going to be able to break it all down for you. And Jalen Green's making his debut, which it kind of puts a little bit of a wrench into it. I have no clue what his minutes are. Nobody does.
I have no clue who's playing.
Yeah, it's Clippers without Kawhi and Harden taking on the Suns, and it's just disturbing. It's a disturbing basketball game.
It sounds like it, man. Jalen Green's on the Suns now?
Yeah, surprise. Oh. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah.
I'll start paying more attention to basketball once things wind down a little bit. But dude, it's football like 12 hours a day for me. That's all I focus on. So.
Poor guy.
I'm not
somebody's got to do it.
I'm not complaining. I'm making excuses for not knowing who Jalen Green played for. I could have just kept my mouth shut. Anyway, how you doing, man? You ready to talk a little Thursday Night Football?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's do it. Glad to have you guys here as always, man. If you don't mind, take a single second this evening. You know what's coming. Atone for your sins. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. I would say leave a comment down below, but there is no shelf life on a Live Before Lock. We're going straight up until 8:15. But glad you guys could be here. Truly. Oh, Josh, Green was in the Durant trade. Oh, that's actually, I do remember that now. I do remember that. That stuff all feels like so long ago, It
was long ago. And Dylan Brooks is there, like the least, I don't know. It's impossible to cheer for him. He's been out for like a week or two now as well. I mean, everybody just keeps getting hurt. Hamstrings, it's an epidemic.
I said the same thing. It's in NFL too, though.
Yeah, everywhere.
Every NFL player is going down with a multi-week hamstring injury. I said it the other day on one of these shows. It's nuts. I don't understand it.
Everybody got the shot. That's what it was.
The shots causing the hammy injuries. I mean, you want to talk about cardiac arrest? Fine. But I'm joking. All right.
I pull a Josh to start it. And there we go. To really get us off track.
So I ran the Sims and we'll dive into that. We'll look at the captain spot. We will look at the flex. We're going to look at individual lineup builds as well, obviously, right? I'll give you the dupes on top of that, and we'll just work through this slate. There's another thing, too, where like value on this slate I actually think is good. It's just it kind of sucks that it's a slate where there aren't that many guys that you have to pay a massive premium for. I mean, yeah, Sutton and Knicks are kind of expensive, but Geno's not that expensive. Bauer's a sub 10K.
Yeah,
I do think you're going to need to get to some of that value, but we could have used this on slates where there's like 6 guys at 11K and up.
Well, there's that, and Denver has a million pass catchers that they'll rotate in. Troutman was more involved than Engram last week, and then on the Vegas side, who the hell knows? Like, I think that's what makes this slate fun is that you can really play game theory. You can play some ownership. You can do some things. And it is a bummer that Bowers is as cheap as what he was. I mean, you could say that probably about the main slate at 5K as well. But volume wise, he is definitely your most interesting pass catcher. I think Cortland Sutton, obviously $200 away from it. There's a pretty big chasm, I think, in terms of their reception markets and in terms of some other things. So makes it fun from a game theory perspective to decide where you really want to make your stands.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I think it's even more interesting with Patrick Surtain out because Vance Joseph talked about this the other day when asked about Brock Bowers. He goes, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, Yeah, I saw what he did on Sunday. It's basically, it sucks that it had to happen right now. Basically, couldn't the guy have stayed injured for a couple more weeks? And then he goes on to say, when we played him last year, the first game he got the better of us. So the second game I stuck Surtain on him. He essentially had, a lockdown defensive player of the year corner shadowing their tight end throughout the game.
And so it worked. It worked.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and that's how much respect you have for a guy like Brock Bowers. But I have a lot of respect for Vance Joseph too. And this isn't to say that I don't think Bowers is going to get his. You can put him anywhere on the field. He can run any route. He's the tight end, but he's a wide. Like, come on, he's not a traditional tight end. So then it's like, does Vance Joseph, do they sell out to stop Bowers, and we get more Michael Mayer, who played 83% of snaps last week and ran only 4 fewer routes than Bowers? Do we get more Trey Tucker? Does Jack Besh or Thornton or Tyler Lockett make an appearance? That's where it's interesting to me from a game theory standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. You also, I know you bet Michael Mayer, right? You had 2.5 receptions on him.
I got Michael Mayer at minus 110 over 2.5. I didn't want to grab the yards because it's a tough spot, but I'm hoping that if he's out there, because Pete Carroll said he wants to run a ton of 12 personnel again. I'm just hoping that you get enough looks to give me 3 receptions. Yeah.
Yeah, going back to his Seattle days, that's definitely something that Pete Carroll likes to do. So it doesn't shock me whatsoever with Jakobi Meyers gone that they would want to go to a lot of 12 looks. Plus, let's be serious. This is a huge mismatch in terms of defensive line against the offensive line. It is just going to be a wrecking ball. Denver has 12 more sacks than any other team in the NFL.
40.
They've got 40. The next best team has 28.
What
are we doing here?
I know. They have the highest their pressure rate when they rush, when they bring 4, they could send 4 and get more pressure than like most teams sending 5 at this point.
That's absurd.
Yeah, that's how crazy the pressure has been. The only scary part is, do they keep Michael Mayer in to block more? I don't know, but I still think he should get some opportunities here. I have to imagine he does, right? Yeah. The other thing, he's just really cheap, so I don't really mind throwing darts there. What is he, 2,800 or something?
Yeah, you have to definitely take some shots. As far as the pass catchers go, Trey Tucker's your de facto wide receiver 1, even though Brock Bowers pass catcher number 1. I'm assuming Lockett still gets the slot. That's kind of the thing that I'm assuming, but there's a lot that can happen in this football game with the pass catchers, and that's really kind of, I think, on both sides, what's the most interesting, especially like considering DraftKings PPR, like what are we doing as far as like some of these really, really deep down the roster ancillary pieces on the Vegas side? I'm going to be rotating them through. I don't think Thornton's having a very good rookie season, but like he's a dude who's going to be on the field and they have no reason not to like let him out there and let him romp. So Dante Thornton, like 3 targets last week, none of them were remotely close to him, or was it 2 weeks ago before the bye? He's been out.
I don't think he has a reception for like 3 or 4 straight games, if we're being honest. And he has been targeted.
Yeah, it's abysmal. He's having an absolutely abysmal season. But like now with no Jakobi Meyers, you're replacing a guy that, you just kind of go through some of the snap counts for him every single week. He played 89% of the snaps in week 9. He had played no fewer than 88% of snaps the entire time. Not that it did anything for him. His price just kept crashing. He was just running wind sprints, but like, I don't know. There's a lot of different guys. I think there's specific stands we can take on the Denver side as well, just because of how many guys they have at their leisure. And Bo Nix, his 1.5 passing touchdowns has just continued to get juiced up and up and up and up. And so, yeah, in terms of ownership is what I'm looking at in like the MVP spot specifically, like who do I want to pair Bo Nix lineups with in the flex? Like, what do I really want to be adding along for the ride? The Vegas side, it's Brock Bowers to the moon and then just taking darts. But yeah, it makes it for a fun slate. Plus Denver defense. Oh my God. Denver defense is like, how many sacks would you set the over under at?
Dude, it's really, I actually used the Denver defense for my FanDuel $2 million jackpot. they don't have a lot of interceptions or turnovers, takeaways this year, and they don't have any defensive touchdowns, but that's such a random, a lot of those are random. Even interceptions to a large extent are super random. If you can get that much pressure against a guy like Geno, who is completing 50% of passes for 5.5 yards per attempt under pressure with 1 touchdown and 5 interceptions this year, you don't have to twist my arm to get me interested in the Denver defense at all. But no, back to your point on these guys. So, okay, check this out, right? So last week, Trey Tucker played 97% of snaps. We know that he's there, right? He's now a cornerstone of the wide receiver position. He has to be. He has to be. Jacoby Myers played 89%. Jack Bech did not play, and Deontay Thornton did not play. Tyler Lockett played 19 out of 64 total snaps, 30%. And that is because Brock Bowers played 81% and Michael Mayer played 83%. Brock Bowers lined up wide 33% of his snaps. He was in the slot 51%. He was only in line 15% of the time, right? So Michael Mayer was used as the traditional tight end. Bowers was used as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So, like,
I do. But now, where do you put Lockett on the field? Like, what do you do with Lockett?
I know, because you have to use Bowers in the slot. Not every time, but like he's going to see another 50% of his snaps out of the slot. He's going to line up outside again too. What I'm saying is, just because Myers is gone doesn't mean that like Bech, Thornton, and Lockett all get extended run. It might be just one of these guys. It might be that they all just play, 33% of snaps. I mean, I would think it's going to be more Lockett. I would think like 50 to 60% Lockett, and then like Thornton and Bech split the rest.
It's really hard to figure out. I'm kind of with you where I do think this is going to be like a rotational type thing. I mean, Bowers 81% of the snaps, and as you said, right around 50% there, where we're going to see him in the slot when he's on the field. And I just don't know what you do with Lockett. Like, I feel like almost full fading Lockett. He's one of our most negatively simmed players as is.
Yeah, he's bad now.
He's bad, and I just don't know where you put him on the field, other than like Bowers getting dinged up or coming off the field for a play and bringing Lockett in the slot. I just don't know where you put him, because he hasn't won matchups on the outside ever. And so I kind of feel like this is the Jack Bech kind of like pitch for me. I'm worried he's going to get steamed up a little bit more, as he's like the highest owned of like some of these dudes down here. But don't you kind of let your rookies rip a little bit now at this stage? Like, it's kind of turned into a developmental deal. You're 2-6, you're 10-point dogs here. Pete Carroll's trying to like build culture, build a foundation. I got to think it's just playing Bech and moving along with your day and just making an overweight stance to him. Cause like clicking on Lockett is very, very, very hard for me today.
I mean, what a time to let him cook against the Denver Broncos in Denver. I would largely agree with you if it wasn't Pete Carroll. I'm just saying, a lot of these older they're so stubborn. They're terribly stubborn with the decisions they make. I mean, if we're assuming that it's going to like they just let Jack Bech or Deontay Thornton Jr. run, well, then why did neither of them play a single snap last week and Tyler Lockett played 30% of the snaps? You know what I mean? I'm not even saying you're wrong. By the way, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I don't know, and I think I probably just have, in all likelihood, just trace amounts of all of these guys, and I try and get to more Michael Mayer. I mean, Eric, I'm kind of just at the point now where I'm saying, do I feel like, spinning the wheel or throwing a dart with your eyes closed and trying to hit one of these guys, or just going, all right, well, Michael Mayer might play 90% of snaps at $2,800. I'll just do that. That's kind of how I feel, especially when you're nearly a 10-point dog. even if one of these guys does get the opportunities as far as snaps are concerned, they still have to produce, and none of them have been able to produce all season. So, yeah, Michael Mayer is going to be my number one guy. And then I'd rather have Pat Bryant, quite frankly. He at least has 2 end zone targets over the last month.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd rather have Pat Bryant at one of these price points. I might rather have Raiders D, if we're being completely honest with you.
Yeah, I've been kind of thinking Raiders D might end up being a scary play for me today. I wanted to talk through it a little bit with you, purely because projecting defense, this is something I know Tom said when he had won, his 100K, him and Rich both took down the Showdown a couple weeks ago. Defense is hard to project. It is very difficult. There are going to be fluky plays that happen over the course of random NFL games, and nobody wants to play the Raiders defense today, which makes me want to play the Raiders defense. I like to play defenses when nobody's on them. I like to fade them when everybody's confident that something's going to happen. I will say this, sack certainty here. Like, I would be shocked if Geno Smith didn't get enough sacks to at least make Denver more projectable than normal as far as the defense goes. But I'm with you there, where I do think the Raiders defense, like a couple sacks here, maybe a pick or a fumble, something fluky happens, not even like a defensive touchdown. And then if Bowers just absorbs all of the targets, 6.5 receptions, his prop juiced towards the under for what it's worth now, but basically was 6.5 flat for most of the week here on the short week. You've got Trey Tucker that I don't feel all that confident in. I mean, he hasn't really had a big game outside of garbage time against Washington in week 3. It's really kind of been a down year relative to what I thought his box scores would look like when I pulled them up this morning. And I don't know really where we're supposed to go other than like taking random darts on some of the Denver side of things. I do think playing Besh is probably going to be the route that I take, just in case he ends up on the field a lot more. It'd be weird to see him go from like 0 to 65, but like 0 to 40, 0 to 50 at his price point, I'd take it just because, he's a 2nd round pick out of TCU. He's got decent draft equity where, like, why not see what you've got with him? But I'm probably with you where I think Michael Mayer makes the most sense as the dude to like potentially get the most of the pass catchers not named Bowers on the Vegas side.
Well, I kind of feel now. Does that mean he's guaranteed to get those targets? No, but I like players that are. Here's a hot take, Eric, and please don't scold me for this. I like players who are on the field.
Oh, do you now? Is that important?
No, we get spicy around here. Yeah, I prefer.
Man, this is what I've been missing on Showdown shows. This is why I've gotten steamrolled. This is great.
I prefer the guys who have their helmets on. Odd, I know.
Weird.
But I do.
Weird.
And yeah, people are hitting you in chat. It's Michael Mayer.
Mayer, sorry.
Jacoby Myers.
My brain can't
Michael
differentiate the conversation on the two, so I'm just rolling. What a hack I am.
I do it all the time. Not with him, but with specific players. There's certain guys that no matter. Jake uploaded one of my raw video files to the podcast channel once where it was a Mecca Ibuka and it was week 1. And you just hear me like cursing left and right because I did 18 takes to try and get his name right. I got it right, but that was just one where my brain could not put it together. So yeah, I'd say that's a little bit tougher than Michael Mayer, but
yeah. Well, I had a guy who kept calling Paulo Banchero, and I couldn't stop laughing doing like a VSIN spot last year. I was like, why does he keep doing this? Is he aware? And I was like, I'm not going to correct him on air, but.
Well, you know what I do? I'm super passive aggressive about it. So like if he goes, what do you think of Paulo Banchero today? I'd be like, I really like Banchero. I think Banchero is a good player. It's a good spot for Banchero. And, I took the over on Banchero today. That's what I would do. Right? So,
he's like, who are we talking about now?
Right. You're not explicitly doing it, but then you got to have him scratching his head being like, shit, is it Banchero? And then he comes back and he's like, I like Banchero too. But
that's sharp. Honestly, that's super sharp. I'm doing that.
Try it. It's fun. Hey, what are your thoughts? And if you guys have questions, as always, hit us up in chat. Happy to take all of those questions as always. A lot of times we get some really good ones, as a matter of fact, for Showdown Live Before Locks. And since we're up against it, right, like we only have 35 minutes, which is plenty of time, but it's good to take questions like that because oftentimes a lot of people are thinking the same thing. The whole Sutton and Franklin thing is odd to me because if you told me, look, I get plenty wrong, but this is one where I never in a million years I could have seen. If you told me that Troy Franklin would have kind of significantly more red zone targets and end zone targets than Sutton this year, I'd have told you were crazy after knowing how good Sutton was, in the end zone and in the red zone last season, right? He was 4th in end zone touchdowns, tied with Jamar Chase. That's surprising. But then you look at Troy Franklin, you're like, all right, these guys basically have the same target share. They're right around 21%. But Troy Franklin has more deep targets, yet he has caught 2 of his 14 deep targets on the season, 60% of total passes. But Bo Nix keeps going back to him. And it's not a good Raiders secondary where the Raiders actually do have a somewhat competent run defense, allowing under 4 yards per attempt. So I'll be honest, I like both of these guys. The difference in price point is pretty shocking, but I'm kind of interested in getting to more Sutton at captain because I don't think it's going to be a super popular play there, just given that his price point is up. Similar to my thought process on Marvin Harrison on Monday.
Yeah, we're doing the same thing. So Brock Bowers is $200 away. It is so hard for me to imagine a scenario where Sutton isn't like less than half. I mean, you just look at the projections for today. It is wild seeing Sutton and where he's at for captain ownership and Brock Bowers, where I think there's just a lot of artificial ownership for a guy who had 3 touchdowns last week that could be coming in a pretty heavy way. So it's more of the price points and like, is Bowers underpriced? Yes. But I'm pretty positive we're going to see a gigantic bump. Like, he's going to get steamed up, Loughy. I'm just going to throw it out there. Brock Bowers did a thing last week that just $200 away getting to Sutton, I have to be clicking on it. Plus, you can get to like identical builds and like small field stuff, like the $33 or whatever else you might be playing over on DK. And you have an opportunity to know that just by swapping the 2 and putting one in the flex and the other one up top, in identical lineups, you've got a lot of leverage. You could be looking at significantly fewer dupes. And that's something I'm kind of going through in the Sims. I just did another run. And it's like, for me, I'm just kind of go through and like, I'm still going to play a little bit of Bowers, obviously in the captain, but boy, do I want to get to Cortland Sutton there just because of what I know that ownership cap is going to be.
I hear you. And man, right now we have Bowers 14% captain, Sutton 10%. I feel like it'll be a little bit bigger gap than that. If you just ran a sim, when was the last update? Do you have the last update? Do you know?
Yeah, it was like 4:12 or something. It was like,
okay.
So yeah, half an hour ago.
Okay. All right. For those of you in normal people time, that would be 7:12. So
thanks. Just is what it is, man. I can't help it. I'm not God. I don't run time.
I know.
I'm just listening to what it says in the corner of my screen.
I say it in jest because I find it so funny to, like, the idea of insulting someone because of their time zone is so insane. But then when you do it, what are you supposed to say? Because if you say anything back, then you're the asshole. It's like, no, my time zone's better. Nobody cares. But yes,
nobody gives a shit.
412. Sutton's like one of my favorite type of players to use on these slates. I think a lot of you guys would say he's my favorite type of player to use in any slate. But
yeah,
the reason I like Cortland Sutton is because he's so capable of doing nothing, right? And then he can go out and have like a 7 for 120 and a score and break a slate like this. We've seen him do it. He's very capable of having those type of games. There's no doubt about it. He's coming off a 1 reception, 6 target game. Now, it was a nasty 30-yard touchdown against a very good corner in Derek Stingley Jr. But all in all, like, some of these games, if Sutton just scored, you're actually looking at really great games. The 8 for 99 and no touchdown. Tack a touchdown onto that. How does it look, right? Tack 1 yard and a touchdown onto that. How's it look? 6 for 87 on 10 targets. Put a touchdown on that. How's it look? So I still think he should be priced ahead of Sutton, but I also like Troy Franklin because, it's a good matchup. They are 9.5-point favorites, and Troy Franklin, whether he's been productive week in and week out, is almost irrelevant when you take the target share into consideration. And he's Bo Nix is looking his way more than Sutton recently. I like both of them.
Let's not just forget who they just played. Who's on the other side of Cortland Sutton all of last week? And this is
Stingley,
like,
dude.
It's
Exactly.
my favorite thing in football. When you get a guy who is in a terrible matchup, like, why would you throw it at Derek Stingley last week? Like, why would you? And now, because of box score watching, everybody is going to be jamming the side of Brock Bowers, and nobody is going to play Cortland Sutton in an exponentially. And when I say exponentially, it can't really be emphasized enough. It is an exponentially better spot for him this week than what it was on Sunday. And it's no surprise to me that you saw kind of a downtick, and that he's one of like 3 corners in football, probably like Sauce Gardner, Travarius Ward, probably 2 of them on the same football team when healthy. That's going to be fun to watch with Indy, but there's no doubt that Derek Stingley's like just a dude, and Patrick Surtain, obviously, when he's healthy as well. But I just love Cortland Sutton today. And Troy Franklin has that connection with Bo Nix going back to college. They've played a lot of football together. And so the fact that he's having a great second year after he got adjusted to the NFL speed, it's not completely surprising to me. I'd say it's surprising to me that, you know, they didn't find anybody else at wide receiver at the deadline or something, because this defense is like Super Bowl ready right now. But hey, if they believe in Franklin here, if Bo Nix still believes in Franklin, that's sweet. But like, Cortland Sutton's an alpha, and yeah, we're on the same page.
Dude, you teed me up for this so nicely, right? It wasn't intentional, but I was already getting ready to mention this to you, and you just started rattling off cornerbacks. Check this out. So the 3 legit bad games that Cortland Sutton has had, you will appreciate this, have come against Derek Stingley, Sauce Gardner, and Charvarius Ward.
Yep. Those
are the 3 games. The 3 games where he has 1 reception are against Stingley last week, the Jets and Gardner when they were in London, and then week 2 before Ward got hurt in warm-ups against Charvarius Ward. Those are the 3 games. So what you have is it seems pretty obvious, Sean Payton and Knicks just going like, all right, we have other weapons.
Correct.
We'll let them eliminate Sutton, but then when you have a good matchup for Cortland Sutton, he's had really solid games. I'm telling you, Eric, if he scored in some of these games, you'd be looking at him and going, oh, wow, okay, so he's had like 6 out of 9 really good games this year.
Completely agree. And that's where we see this the same way. Let's also remember Bo Nix. I'm not going to call him a game manager, because I think that's disingenuous, but not exactly the longest ADOT you've ever seen in his rookie season. Starting to get a little bit more leash from Sean Payton, but like, Sean Payton's one of those guys that when he's got a clipboard in his hand and he's got the play card, I think he's always felt like he could manage a game better than like trying to force the ball into one individual matchup. What you go back to like even some Michael Thomas games, like Michael Thomas was an alpha beyond an alpha over the course of his New Orleans tenure. And yet there were some auspicious games where it's like, well, we still have Alvin Kamara. We still have, Mark Engram. We still have other guys who can do things and create mismatches. We don't have to force it. Plus, New Orleans had a great defense during his entire tenure there in New Orleans. So, like, I feel as though Denver's one of those teams that knows who they are. They are so good defensively. And after I would say it was kind of a brutal start to their season. First 2-3 weeks, they give Benito the contract. They give a lot of guys a lot of money, and it wasn't performing up to par, especially coming off of the Indy game. But it was like a 15-yard penalty away that shortened the kick in that week 2 game. And now we've just kind of seen them ascend. We've seen this defense get momentum, and now they are just a fully operational Death Star. Why would you try to just make Cortland Sutton happy with 8 or 9 targets last week? It just makes no sense. So, like, I am so unbelievably there for him today. It is nice we're on the same page.
Yeah, lock in the 0 for 0.
Yeah, fuck us.
Yeah. Also, I did throw a bet up on Tails. If I have boosts available on Thursday night, I'm taking them. Onyx has one. DraftKings has one. They both have the same odds because, well, they have the same odds. I got a little Cortland Sutton plus J.K. Dobbins. If you guys are over there on Tails, come check it out, man. I assume many of you already have, and many of you are tailing. Let me see. Where are we at here?
I'm going to tail you right now. Let me tail you live while we are on this show.
Well, all you have to do, brother, is come in, click tail. It pulls up all of the odds on these books. Look at that. And then you select what books you want, tail the parlay. These are uncorrelated odds, but still there's boosts almost everywhere today. And then it auto loads straight into your bet slip. And by the way, I saw you make some bullshit comment when I was on the deeper dive the other day about me not being subscribed to your VIP account. So I went in a tone. I saw that passive aggressive nonsense. So I went in and I didn't even know I was on a show with you, but there you go. You see that? I went in and I atoned for my own sins. Subscribed to Lindy's premium account right there. You see that on the screen?
Yeah,
that's right.
That's what we did. Say this. I'm about to piss you off more. J.K. Dobbins, 68.5 rushing yards was the number that I got earlier in the Pick'em streets. You don't like J.K. Dobbins today?
At 71.5. Not I don't love it. No.
Okay, that's fair. But he's had 1 week, week 3, where he didn't have more than 14 carries.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think J.K. Dobbins is a decent enough running back. I don't think he's great.
Okay, that's hurtful to J.K. Dobbins' feelings. This is how I
I like J.K. Dobbins. I just don't think he's elite. I don't know. I just think we could see him throw the ball a lot more, to be completely honest with you. Also, Eric Lindquist on the leaderboard. Look at me, man. Look at you. Big week last week for our boy Lindy. So come check the leaderboards out, see who's killing, see who's on the long shot, see who's trending, all that stuff. See has the most, all that. There we go. Look at that. So if you're not over there. Oh, and I did want to shout you guys out. We'll get right back into the show right now. But I did want to shout all of you guys out who have been kind enough to head over to Tails and review the app for us. And even hit us with a rating and download. A ton of people are downloading the app, and I know this because we just climbed like 75 spots in the app charts, in the rankings today alone. We're about to crack the top 100 in sports apps, and this app just launched like a month ago. So you guys are great. So appreciate that. We'll never ask for anything. A lot of this, you go in, it's a free account. All that stuff is free. If you want to grab premium accounts, you always can. But everything else will always be free. And the only thing we ever ask, if you love it, hit us with a rating and a review, because that goes further for us than literally anything else you could do. So appreciate you guys. All right. Here we go.
Fantastic. I just ran one more sim here too. I am terrified at what I'm looking at, but what do you think about Ashton Jeanty today? Give me the Ashton Jeanty spiel, because nobody's expecting a lot out of this Raiders offense aside from Brock Bowers. And he's probably the guy that, as we talk through it, I will either get more or less of, because I am terrified to just be like holding hands with the field here. I suppose I could, and it's not a huge deal, but like, I feel as though this is a spot where Ashton Jeanty might get a lot lower ownership than what we're anticipating. And I don't like Ashton Jeanty all that much as a real life football player. Was not very high on him out of Boise State. Thought he had some fumble stuff. It hasn't really come to fruition at the NFL level yet, but how do you feel about him today? Because this is a tough one.
Yeah, it is. Well, here's what I'd say. The guy played 91% of snaps last week. He's just, they spent massive draft capital on him. I see no reason why they're not just going to use him frequently. Now, sure, you look at the Kansas City game, you throw that out. That doesn't count to me. Maybe this will be the same case, right? It's totally possible. He has one great game this year, right? One great game, and then a couple decent games. I think you could probably argue he's even a little bit overpriced. I'll put it to you this way. I like Cortland Sutton over Jeanty. I like Bowers over Jeanty. But I still, with the exposure I'm getting to him right now, pretty much with the field, I feel a little differently than you in that I'm okay being with the field and holding hands on a guy like Jeanty. And the reason is I have no feel for Ashton Jeanty today. I have no feel for Ashton Jeanty pretty much every single week. So if I can go into this and get with the field, but get different elsewhere, we talked about, maybe getting a little bit heavier exposure to Sutton at captain, specific spots like getting a little overweight, possibly to Michael Mayer, if people are spreading exposure around to a lot of those other cheap guys. that might be where I decide to go. I don't have a good feel for Ashton Jeanty today. I think that's a reasonable take because it's a terrible matchup, but a guy that can get big volume. And the Raiders are an odd team in a divisional spot on a short week that there have been times where they've just competed with opponents or they just get their dicks kicked in like we saw against Kansas City equally in a divisional spot.
Yeah, I think Bo Nix, the captain ownership is mainly what I wanted to point to. We have Nix, Bowers, Sutton, Franklin, Dobbins, 5 pieces ahead of a guy who's getting 90% of the snaps right now. And there are accidents that happen as well where he could find pay dirt twice out of the middle of nowhere. And you're just talking about a guy that is on the field a ton to be pulling just like 5-6% captain ownership. And it's not a great feeling. Again, I'm probably going to end up being underweight in the flex, but there's a part of me when I see Franklin pulling this much captain ownership, and like Nix, I think is rightfully the guy. I mean, his 1.5 touchdowns, again, it's just been juiced to the moon now. But if we assume that Bowers, and I'm assuming Bowers is going to be a little bit higher than like 12-13% captain ownership, that has to strip away, I think, the most from Jeanty, because Dobbins is still going to pull his. Sutton is still going to pull some type of his, even though that could bleed into Bowers as well, just at the same price point. Has me kind of interested in potentially taking an overweight captain approach to Jeanty. You know, if you're playing like 20 max, if you're playing 150, just finding a little bit more room for those type of lineups, and then being underweight in the flex, where I think most of the time, as you said, he is definitely overpriced for the matchup, for the situation. And, you know, he's still going to have to beat out a lot of pieces that aren't that hard to fit into lineups in Bowers, Sutton at their price points.
What do you make of the backfields? We talked about these, you know, the bets that we had from earlier and everything over there on Tails. By the way, Tails app or tails.bet, the link's in the description. If you want to come over, follow Eric, follow me, turn on notifications, follow everybody else. Forgot to mention that earlier. But if you've got Harvey in the backfield, who we're actually getting a decent amount of this week, or tonight, and Dobbins in the backfield. We talked about Jeanty. There's not really much else there. Does Raheem Mostert get spell Jeanty a couple times? Sure. But I mean, all right. Even though Raheem Mostert, many people don't know this, wasn't long ago where he had both of the longest runs in the league in the season. Not only long, but fastest. I'm sorry. Fastest runs.
Yeah.
Hit like 20 some miles per hour. But still, he's not going to get a notable amount of work. How do you kind of dissect the backfield for Denver today?
So RJ Harvey is a pain in the ass. I'm still so mad that Dobbins did all the work and Harvey got 3 touchdowns on the week that I bet Dobbins to score. That was about as painful as it gets. And it was supposed to close out a couple of those. You know, there were a ton of boosts and stuff. And he was like the last piece in for a number of them. It was very, very painful because I thought it was almost like borderline free. But yeah, RJ Harvey is going to be annoying, but I think you just have to look at what the opportunities have been more so than like the snap count. Because if you just look at the snap count, you're not going to be all that impressed looking at the price point of J.K. Dobbins and just being like, shit, we're about to like jam a guy who's playing like half the snaps, 46% of snaps last week, 52% the week before. In fact, he hasn't played above 53% of the snaps in the last 6 weeks. So it's really just the opportunity. I kind of pointed to it. He's getting 14 plus carries in all but 1 week over the course of this season. He's stayed very, very healthy, which obviously can flip on a dime in one play. But like RJ Harvey's still only playing like around 32% of the snaps. And I don't trust Sean Payton really ever when it comes to like the rotation of guys behind a number one. Like I still feel pretty confident J.K. Dobbins is going to come in and get his workload, but it could be Tyler Batty. It could be Adam Prentice played 16% of snaps last week out of the middle of freaking nowhere getting mixed in. Like, yeah, I think Tyler Batty is probably the most interesting of people just because, you know, what his skill set is and how he could potentially put up a score for us. Adam Prentice is only 200. I think amongst the $200 plays that aren't, you know, pass catchers on the Vegas side, I think he's probably the most intriguing to take a shot on the Denver side. But like, I have no confidence in Sean Payton just doing things to the norm, but Tyler Batty at least has that skill set of pass catching. And I think that that's probably somebody that I'm going to end up overweight to when I finish things up. But I don't feel all that good about RJ Harvey because he just feels like the guy who ends up getting steamed up.
He does. I'll still have some for sure, just because there have been these odd games, especially also another thing to consider. If this game does start to get away from the Raiders, you will absolutely see more RJ Harvey. And so we've seen that before. So that's another thing to consider. I don't necessarily know how much more. And obviously you would have to project for this being the type of game where they do get ahead, which, right, for all intents and purposes, it should be that type of game, but we don't know. It could be weird. It's a Thursday night game. Stranger things have happened. But yeah, I have some. I'll probably get less than that. I haven't finalized all of my lineups yet. I'm about to do so right now, as a matter of fact. So let's see where we're at. There we go.
Yeah, just to speak on one more thing too.
Yeah, please.
I suppose to play Achilles heel to myself, or I guess devil's advocate to myself, better analogy there. You've had 5 red zone opportunities the last 2 weeks for both Dobbins and RJ Harvey. They're both rotating in the red zone. They're both being utilized at that end of the field. So I have no problem playing both of them together. I know we get those kind of questions from time to time where it's like, oh, are you looking to get away from this, get away from that? I don't really think so. We also had the question about, is double Raider tight end crazy with 4 Broncos? Absolutely not. In fact, Loughy probably encouraged. I think it's probably the right way of saying it. And
yeah, I mean, it's not even like encouraged, but I have plenty of that, and I have absolutely zero reason to get away from it, because you're talking double tight end with Bowers and Michael Mayer is a lot different than being coming back. There we go. That was odd.
Am I here?
That was can weird. You hear me?
Yep, I got you. On the world.
Did it cut out on you? Did that happen to you too?
Yeah, it cut out. It cut out on you. Cut out on me a little bit, but we're back.
Yeah, you cut out on me. I don't know what that was. Either way, it's not the same thing as being like, oh, it's can you play Michael Mayer at 8K and Brock Bowers together at 9,800? I mean, one of these guys is 2,800. So there's no real opportunity cost there whatsoever. So it's always going to be a lot different if you're saying, can I play, a $6,500 David Montgomery or, an 8K Montgomery and Showdown with a 11K Gibbs? You can, but in this case, there's just no opportunity cost involved with going to those two guys. I have no problem with it. Now, what I was going to ask you is, would you play Dobbins and Harvey together?
Yeah, totally would. No problem at all with it. I mean, you're talking about the implied total. We're looking at 3.5 touchdowns basically. And I have no problem whatsoever trying to make that from the running game of Denver. I don't think I have a huge issue with it. There's basically no way that I would try to remove them. If I'm building one lineup, it's probably not the easiest thing for me to go and click on, but it's pretty okay by my standards. RJ Harvey is priced up a little bit from where I would want. It's not the easiest, most convenient thing, but if you have some lineups that overlap with them, no issue with it whatsoever. 8,600 and 5,600, that still pieces together all right.
Especially if they, let's just say they score 35, right? Then all bets are off at that point, honestly. But I do think there is something to be said. Duke Film, still no Engram talk. All episodes surprises me. You're absolutely right. Sometimes we get away from that. No, Evan Ingram's a nice play today. He's very, very cheap. You're not going to get, he's 4,400 at the flex, discounted price point. He's clearly third as far as target share goes. I will say, when you have games with Cortland Sutton not going up against an elite corner, I think it does hurt guys like Evan Engram, because you take last week where you have a Stingley or some of those games, and it's going to make more sense for Evan Engram to get more targets when you're essentially allowing Cortland. It's like when Kawhi Leonard used to freeze a guy out of the game, and then all of the other guys would get all of that work. So, yeah, I think there's something to be said about that. And it's not like Evan Engram was good last week either, but it's just a really tough matchup against that Houston defense. Overall, I think he's perfectly reasonable. Even if you wanted to sprinkle Evan Engram in at captain in a 9.5 point favorite, I don't hate that at all either. Thank you for reminding us to talk about Evan Engram.
Yeah, Evan Ingram's fine. He's pulling 36% ownership, not a ton of captain ownership. He just doesn't see the field a lot relative to other quote unquote elite tight ends. He's not that guy. Sean Payton doesn't really feel that way about him. He doesn't really do a lot in terms of blocking. So you don't have a ton of utility for Sean Payton the way he likes to go about calling a football game. He's been right around 50% snap share all the time. That's kind of where you plug and play him when you're projecting him out. And you have Mercedes Lewis, who popped in 10% of the time last week. I don't love that. We saw him in Green Bay and just kind of does it two-way, can be a red zone type dude. And that would really piss me off to see Mercedes Lewis come in and snipe something from Engram. So I get it. A lot of my top sim ROI, you've got it on the screen. Broncos, and then it'll be the main pass catchers. Brock Bowers is a lot of the 5-1, that's the go-to 5-1 standard build there. But if you go to Evan Engram, pulls you away from the Franklin a little bit more. I'm assuming that's probably going to lower your overall ownership when we get to the flip on this. But yeah, I'm not a huge Evan Engram stan. Once he got signed by Denver here, I wasn't really sure how that was going to fit. It's basically fit exactly how we might expect, but he's still a very, very talented tight end. So if he had a big game, wouldn't shock me at all. I'm going to be underweight.
I'm underweight on him too, but it's also he's fine. He's not somebody, and that's probably why we didn't talk about him, because Evan Ingram's just there for me today. But if he was in the optimal, would I be surprised? No, not at all. What I do want to talk about, Malcolm, DK cash captain, please. It's Bo Nix or it's Brock Bowers. If you're talking about the cash captain. What I do, would you play the Broncos? Oh, you were asking someone else. You're asking our boy Sotex. By the way, yes. Let me get this out of the way while we still have time. Yes, Broncos D. Well, we did already. Broncos. We even said Raiders D is viable. Both kickers as well. There was some talk about wind in this game. From what I saw, is that it looks like it's dying down. And I can try and pull this up again. And I only mention this because you have a great kicking location in the altitude at Mile High. But I think it looks like, yeah, right. The wind is calming down. I don't think it's going to be a massive issue here. I think we're going to be all right.
Yeah, it doesn't look that bad at all.
No, I think we're going to be okay. What I did want to talk about, and some of you guys will be disgusted by this, and some of you guys will fully understand it. And if you're disgusted by this, I would suggest you go back to Monday's game. Go back a whole 3 days and see what the optimal lineup looked like and go, oh, wow, you're telling me that the Cardinals and the Cowboys were in it? Yep, they certainly were. So weird things. And I will have some 5-1 Raiders lineups. I know it's gross, but I will.
I doubt I get to any 5-1. I mean, I'm the second ROI one. That's wild. I doubt I get to much 5-1 when I rerun this, because there's one more. We got a projections update at 8 p.m. Eastern time. It would be for normal people with normal times, 5 p.m. my time. But I doubt that I end up getting to 5-1. It just feels a little bit extreme, and I know that we get wild football games from time to time. That would actually really, really shock me to see a 5-1.
I don't know how much it would shock me, because if it ends up being like a 5-1, and then you have Sutton on the other side, and Sutton has a big game, but Bo Nix is super I'm just thinking through ways it could work. This is certainly an unlikely outcome, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
but I'll have a few. I'll definitely have a few of them. It doesn't feel good, but guess what? You're not going to be duped.
No,
it's
you're
going to
not.
be hard. It'll be hard to not be duped on a 5-1 Broncos. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, you're probably going to be duped in some capacity unless you're leaving 3-4K on the ground. Malcolm Revamp, DK Cash, you're just playing Bo Nix and Captain Cash, right? There's no other option other than Bo Nix in cash for
Yeah, I
captain.
answered that one already.
Yeah, I didn't know if you did or not. I was rebuilding this, so with
All
6
good.
minutes left. Yep, just making sure I got the right stuff uploaded. And
yeah, it's Bo Nix, and I had mentioned it's Bo Nix, and then if you really wanted to go Brock Bowers or something, that's not crazy. But Bo Nix would be the traditional cash play. And if you have the single lineup sim, you could honestly, you don't even have to sim it. You could just go in and optimize it with nobody in there at 0% randomness and just play that in cash. For real. On main slates, it makes more sense than doing it on showdowns because there's still some correlation included with showdowns, but you could do that if you needed to. So yeah. Yeah, Ghetto Farmer Boy. If I had 5 Raiders, I'd be putting Dobbins at the captain spot. Yeah, I mean, captain spot would be tough ask, but definitely Dobbins in there. I'm looking at a 5-1 on the bottom of the screen right here with Dobbins in there in the flex as the 1. So yeah, there's some stuff out there. It's gonna be gross.
The 5-1, the world of the 5-1 working out is just like 2 big plays from the running back, like 2 Saquon Barkley 75-yard-esque J.K. Dobbins runs, which totally plausible against the Raiders. And then that's literally all you would want on that side. And Bowers just gets peppered. Like, I do think there's a world where maybe that 5-1 kind of makes some sense to me, but yeah, it's obviously an unlikely build on today's slate, but that's kind of why you would do it, I guess.
Hey, here's a fun question for you. And I'm sure this would help anybody. Do these assholes really think we're going to click these links?
Sure.
AJ Worst, 5-1 Raiders lineups, Loughy. You've lost your marbles. I haven't though, man. These showdowns are really tough. I'm telling you, you could go build a 5-1 Broncos, and I have plenty of them. And it might win, it might not, but like the Sims are giving us plenty of 5-1 Raiders, far less than 5-1 Denver, but we're getting plenty 5-1 Raiders because, you sim them tens of thousands of times. And when these happen to win in these simulations, when they do what they're solo shipping, so like, here's a good example for you. Look at the cash probability, right? When we sim these 5-1 Broncos has a 33% cash percentage. The 5-1 Vegas has 19.6, and here's a 21. So they're going to be lower than a lot, but even this 5-1 Denver's got 21%, 4-2 Denver, 22%. It's the way it is. Top 10%, far lower for the 5-1 Raiders, but they sim out well because they're not going to be duped. It's a unique way to get leverage. It's gross. It's gross for sure.
It's really gross. I'm looking at this 4-2 Vegas one that I really do like, actually, kind of just parsing through the Sims tool, finishing out, making sure I got the right stuff. But yeah, there aren't a lot of 5-1s that I'm in love with. But yeah, there's no doubt that is not going to be a popular build today. As I said, like, yeah, your cash probability probably a little bit further down the road there. But yeah, your win probability, where is that? 1-3-5. That's a pretty good. I like that Broncos one up top there. That one looks pretty good.
Yeah, that actually looks sick. Couple of dupes, but nothing crazy. In the final couple minutes, I did want to ask you, if there were any like real true contrarian or leverage spots that you wanted to get to, or maybe guys that we haven't talked about yet that are low owned, anybody out there? I feel like we've hit on almost everybody.
Yeah, we've hit on just about everybody. I'll throw out the Mercedes Lewis one more time, just because of what we've seen him do in Green Bay. It's very, 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 very unlikely, but I rolled him out in one lineup, amongst my 50, and then on FanDuel didn't really play him, which is a little surprising because I thought that was going to be where I maybe parsed through and got it. I do like the Ashton Jeanty and the captain idea. It's going to be very, very, very low owned. So I had to make sure that I got a couple of those. That was kind of me just kind of going in by hand and making sure that I favorited a couple of those that had really good ROIs as we were finishing up here. Further down the board, though, like the problem on this slate is like a lot of these top end studs are very attainable. And so it becomes less necessary to have to go down into the dweller. I will say the Raiders pass catchers, nobody really knows who's going to be out on the field a ton. So I'm taking an underweight stance, like Tyler Lockett, not really a part of anything that I'm doing there, but Beck, Thornton, like I'm all right taking shots on these dudes and just kind of seeing what happens, because anything could surprise me as far as who's on the field the most for the wide receiver 2 on the Raiders side. It would very much surprise me if it was Lockett, just because of like how things go about. Like Trey Tucker is going to be out there a ton. Who's the second guy? I'm not really sure anybody knows.
I'm with you. Hey man, fun stuff.
It's good stuff. It's good to be on a Showdown show, talking the Lord's game here. NFL Showdown.
Yeah, man, I do 4 of them a week. So.
Oh, baby.
Anyway, you guys are
nice
the best. Appreciate you all. Come check out all of our bets popping up on Tails. There'll be more tonight. I may even use that FanDuel 30% live boost if there's a good spot. I'm keeping that in my back pocket, and a couple other live boosts. So Eric's got some awesome stuff, not just in the VIP, but also for free as well over there that he posts on the live odds or on the picks page. Check it all out. Download the app. Come hit us up. Leave a rating and a review, and we'll see you guys back here. Yo, remember, they say when you review the Tails app, you have a higher likelihood, 50% higher chance of winning a Showdown slate. I don't make the rules, but that is what the numbers say. And even if I'm full of shit, it's like God, you know what I mean? Why would you want to not believe, right? What if you're wrong?
What if you're wrong? No, then you're going to be in hell along with these bots. That's going to be where you are. Fucking bots.
Yep. What if you're wrong? Anyway, we'll see you back here for the next one. Bye-bye.